Hello and welcome to this special webinar on how to structure a selling conversation that converts. My name is Daniel Spacagna and I'm the co-founder of K2 Development Systems. K2DS exists to help individuals achieve peak performance in both their personal and professional lives, and this webinar is designed specifically to help coaches flourish and thrive. In this webinar, I'm going to show you how to position yourself as a sales expert. I'm going to show you how to position yourself as a sales authority, and I'm going to show you how to position yourself as the solution provider to your ideal client, all without you having to invest massive amounts of time to learn it, wasting time on unqualified leads, and all without you having to deep discount your products just to close your deals. My only ask is that you remain 100% present. This webinar is going to be different than most webinars you've ever participated in before for two reasons. One, it's going to be short. I am going to do everything I can to finish this training session in 30 minutes or less because I know how valuable your time is. And I know you got other things going on. I want to get you this information as quickly as I can so that you can implement and apply it to your business immediately. The second thing about this webinar that makes it different than most you've ever attended is the fact that I'm not going to sell you anything. I'm not going to sell in this webinar. My heart and my goal is to share what works in my practice, what works in my business, so that you can apply it and see exactly the same levels of success in your coaching practice. You are in the right place if you are struggling to create an effective pre-selling conversation process. Or if you don't have a process at all, you're in the right place if you're not closing 80% or higher of those who schedule calls with you. The ideal clients who get on the phone with you, if you're not closing 80% or more, you're in the right place. You're in the right place if you desire to master the laws of influence as it pertains to selling your coaching services. This is not the right place for you if you're not open to challenging your beliefs about the sales process and what it looks like. It's not the right place for you if you think you know everything you need to know. And it's not the right place for you if you're not willing to invest in yourself or in your coaching practice. By way of introduction, my name is Dan Spacagna. I'm a business transformation coach. I've helped over 20,000 individuals all over the US and Canada. And my goal today, and what this presentation is a part of, is to help 5,000 coaches specifically. I want to help 5,000 coaches increase, flourish, and thrive within their coaching practices. The thing about me is I used to hate to sell. Oh my gosh. I used to literally avoid it so much. I built my business only on referrals. I wouldn't have selling conversations. I wouldn't rely on the ability of my current coaching clients to sell my services to future coaching clients. I got really good at it, and it allowed me to build my business. But when I look back on it, it really limited a lot of my growth because of the fact that I hated so much to sell. It wasn't until recently that I figured it all out. It wasn't until recently where I kind of got lucky in a selling conversation. And if you know me, I kind of start with the end in mind and go backwards, and I reverse engineered success. Once I have success, I can reverse engineer it and create a process and structure, and then what I was really missing was consistency and predictability. It also allows me to turn it on whenever I want it. You know, I learned the hard way. I learned how not to do it. I learned the hard way how to turn people off and how not to sell over the phone. This webinar is really all about me pulling back the curtains, lifting up the hood, and seeing what really drives the success of my coaching practice. Nothing is off limits as it relates to the selling conversation or to what I'm doing. I want to show you how simple and how easy this process truly is. Now I want you to imagine what your life would be like if you didn't have to stress out every time you got an ideal qualified lead on the phone with you. Imagine what your life would be like if you didn't stress out, freak out, get burned out, and overwhelmed by the selling conversation structure. Imagine what your life would be like if you had a structure and a process that you could master, and you could actually make this selling conversation fun. Imagine what your business would be like, or imagine how much more it would grow if you had a predictable process that you could master and implement to grow your business on a moment's notice simply because you want more clients. That's what this webinar is going to do. Before we get there, however, I have to throw out a disclaimer. What I'm going to show you in this webinar is what is working for me. We've shared it with dozens and dozens of coaches and other practices and clients. This is not a get rich quick scheme. This is not a you pick up the phone and automatically you're a millionaire. This is designed for you to implement, to master, and to learn. Once you put in the effort that's needed, you will see success. Okay, now that all that's out of the way, let's jump into the 4 keys that make up the selling conversation structure. In order to convert selling conversations into paying clients, these 4 keys must be followed in stepwise order. The first key is to recognize that the success of your conversation is the direct result of your pre-selling conversation. What happens before you get them on the phone determines how successful you are. Key number 2 is getting them to talk about their greatest challenges. We're going to jump into why that's so important as we go through the webinar. The third key is to recognize you must master the art of using your words to paint a picture into what their life could be like. And number 4, never make an offer without asking permission. So let's jump into this, get into a lot more detail in each of the 4 keys. Key number 1 is to understand the sale occurs well before the selling conversation does. Way before you get them on the phone with you, the sale has already occurred. Long before you pick up the phone, the sale has already been made. The reason that this is important to recognize is because your pre-selling conversation is built around how well you engage your ideal lead, how well you get to know your ideal lead, and how well you qualify them through your process. Now, what's working for me is this. I love LinkedIn, and I am engaging with my leads on LinkedIn. I'm engaging by sharing, I'm engaging by liking, I'm engaging by leaving comments, I'm engaging with every single lead that I want to make an impact on to create a genuine relationship. This is not about the selling process. It's about getting that trust factor built by strengthening my relationships with each of the leads that I'm reaching out to. Now, I'm getting to know them. And how I do this is I have an online assessment that I've created that is 17 open-ended questions that's designed to help me understand where they are, where my ideal lead is. This is really the first step. Before they ever schedule a breakthrough session with me, I send them this assessment and I ask them to complete all 17 questions before they are able to schedule time on my calendar. What this does is 2 different things, and both are powerful. 1, it allows me to understand where that ideal lead is at. It asks questions like, what is your greatest challenge? How long have you been dealing with this challenge? What have you tried that hasn't worked? What happens if this challenge isn't solved in the next 90 days? 17 questions just like that allows me to get into their heads and their mindset and really their heart of where they are. The second part that makes it so powerful is I automatically know coachability for this individual. If a lead comes to me and says, I want to get on your calendar and schedule a breakthrough with you, but they're not willing to complete the online assessment, I automatically know that they are not coachable. They're not going to do the work that I'm asking them to do. They won't do the assessment. They're more than likely not going to do any of the other work that I assign them in the whole process. It allows me to qualify them further and get to know who they are, which leads to number 3. We have to have a way to qualify before we get on the phone. Otherwise, we're going to just spin our wheels and waste our time. When we have pre-selling as a process of our selling conversation, we are engaging and getting to know them, and we are qualifying them throughout the whole process. This is where a sale is made or broken. If you do your pre-selling conversation by engaging, getting to know them, and qualifying them, it makes your job so much easier. All right, number 2 is to recognize that your role in the selling conversation is to get your lead talking about how bad things are for them. What I typically see happen with the coaches and the clients that I work with is the fact that once the selling conversation starts, The coach feels obligated to spew at the mouth what qualifies them, their certifications and licenses and their experiences and education. They feel like it's necessary to just puke all this information out on what qualifies them to be a coach. And at the end of the day, your ideal lead doesn't care. They don't care about you. All they care about is themselves. More specifically, all they care about is how quickly you could solve their problem. Their problem. The reason that's imperative, and key number 2, is to get them talking about their challenges, is because words have power, guys. Whether you believe it or not, the words we speak in here have power and they influence us. Even though my ideal lead and qualified lead that I'm on the phone with has filled out all 17 questions, I still ask them to verbalize the challenge that they're facing. I still ask them to verbalize what would happen if that solution is not made within 90 days. I still ask them to verbalize what they've tried in the past, verbalize all their failures, because the thing is, when they verbalize it, when the words come out of their mouth, it connects emotionally and it elicits an emotional response that taps into their greatest fears, which reminds them of what they have to lose because they're describing their deepest pains. Words have power. And even though they filled out the 17 question assessment for me, my goal is to get them talking about their deepest pains, get them to connect with those fears on an emotional level. Because what this does is it positions them in such a way that they're ready to hear the solution, opens their ears. This key is what sets up your ideal client to be prepared to move forward with what's coming up in key number 3. And key number 3 is all about us recognizing the power we have in our words. It's the art form of using our words to paint a pretty picture of what could and should be. And key number 2, we let our ideal qualified lead to have as much time as they need to get everything off their chest, everything that's frustrating or painful, fearful. Let them speak, because it positions them in a way to where when you come in on step number 3, you can use your words to paint a pretty picture of what could and should be. When we get to step number 3 in key number 3 in the selling conversation structure, we want to address the fears that they've just shared. Let them know that they're not alone. Let them know that I went through the same thing. Let them know that everyone I worked with has dealt with these fears, these same emotions. Acknowledge the fact that they had an emotional response. Let them know that they're not weird or weak or alone. Let them know that everybody goes through this on some level, and then empathize with it. Let them know you understand where they're coming from and what they're dealing with, but then flip the switch and start painting a picture to future pace their life, to future pace their business. Use words that speak to their vision, that speak to overcoming, that speak to dealing with the challenges and never having to go back to where they are right now. They just spent a large majority of the conversation sharing about their past and where they are now and the failures and the hurts and the pains. Key number 3 is all about you coming in and sharing what your signature solution can and will do. Future pacing their vision, future pacing your words so that they start to see themselves in a bigger and a better, stronger, faster version of where they are right now. Paint a pretty picture of what could be, should be, after you've allowed them to share with you their hurts and their pains. Key number 3 is really what transitions them from the woe is me Eeyore to the believing that there's light at the end of the tunnel. The last key, this is where I see most coaches fail and screw it up in the selling conversation. They immediately jump into making an offer. They immediately jump into the selling process. This really does nothing but turn people off. How many times have we reacted positively to unsolicited offers? To buy something we had no intention of buying, no intention of needing, We don't react positively when unsolicited offers are made. So when we get to key number 4, we know we have a solution that will help that client overcome whatever challenge they're facing, but we can never assume that we have earned the right to make an offer. We have to ask for permission. It's as simple as saying, look, I've listened to this whole thing. You absolutely deserve to live a better life. I have a signature solution that I've helped so many people through. Would you mind if I shared with you what that program is all about? Ask them. Ask for permission. Get them to say yes. This is where the laws of influence come into play. In my assessment, there are 17 questions. The last question, number 18, is a yes/no box. And it says, are you committed to attending the breakthrough session with Dan Spacagna? And are you, the reason I have that there is there's something in people's brains that happen where their words have to align with their character. It's the law of influence that Dr. Cialdini talks about in his book Influence, where we have to align our words to our character. When you have the question, may I share with you around my signature solution? They say yes. They're obligated at that point to at least listen. They're obligated at that point to hear you out. Because no one wants to say yes and then cut you off midway. It's a misalignment with the character. It causes them to lose integrity. This is what allows you to really get your foot in the door. And number 3, and this is big, guys. I hate the fact that I have to even put it there as coaches, but I see a lot of coaches failing at number 3. Be grateful for the opportunity to share. Have some gratitude. When you get someone on the line and you've gone through steps 1 through 3 and you get to step number 4 and that ideal lead says yes, a lot of times coaches will just jump right into it because they're so excited and wound up and they're just ready to sell and close the sale. But if you just take a step back and you think about that person on the other end could have said no. They could have said, I wanted the breakthrough session. I'm really not ready to buy. I don't have the money, whatever. They could have said no in 100 different ways. And we forget to be grateful that when we get them to say yes, it throws the conversation off. When you ask for permission, do you mind if I share my signature solution that has helped others with the exact same challenge you have? And they say yes, say thanks. Say thank you for giving me the opportunity to share this information with you. I'm very proud of it. I've helped others overcome the same challenges you have, and I'm really grateful that you're open to the process that I'm about to share with you. It really puts them in a place where they're receptive to the solution that you want to provide. In step 1, we have the pre-selling combination. In step 2, we're asking them to use words to verbalize their pain. In step 3, we use our words to future pace their solution. And in step 4, we ask permission before we offer them a sale. This selling structure has revolutionized how I do telephone sales. This structure has allowed me to enjoy the selling conversation. It's allowed me to get to the point where I don't feel sleazy or greasy or feel uncomfortable making an offer, because now I know that they want to hear about the solution I have to offer. I know the solution will address their fears, their doubts, their stressors. I know this solution will absolutely solve their greatest challenge. And because of this, the structure of this selling conversation, I'm excited when I get on the phone. I look forward to selling conversations because it's a win-win. It's a no-lose. The client wins because they're getting a solution to their biggest challenge, and I'm winning because I'm making an offer that I feel great about, and I feel about the help that they're about to receive from my offer. Now, I promised you at the beginning this was not a sales webinar, and for those of you that are familiar with webinars, this is where I'd start like stacking my offer and this value and combination package, and you're not going to pay this but this. But instead of this webinar becoming a sales offer, I want to ask you a rhetorical question. Is there anything preventing you from applying and implementing these 4 keys in your selling conversations right now? Is there anything that would prevent you from having the confidence to get on the line with an ideal qualified lead and walk them through this selling conversation structure? I know the answer is no. There's nothing standing in your way from you applying these 4 keys in your coaching practice today. Practice, 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 practice. The more you do it, the easier it becomes. But these 4 keys, when they are implemented and when they are applied, will revolutionize how you do your selling conversations. Now, I'm not going to make offers, but I do want to make myself available to you as a resource. I want to be available to answer any questions you might have. And again, because this is recorded, we don't get a chance to engage right now live, but there's a link here at the bottom of the screen. This is a link that I use to schedule breakthrough sessions. This is directly to me. 45-minute complimentary session, no obligation, no strings attached. If there's anything about this process, if there's anything about this structure that you are unclear about or you want clarity on, I want you to click or copy and paste this, fill out the form, and I will offer you some scheduled time so we can have that conversation. My heart is to help people the way I've been helped. I want to help 5,000 coaches by the end of 2020, and these types of complimentary trainings and webinars are how I intend to do it. If you have questions, please don't finish this webinar and not get that answer to that question, because it really doesn't do you any good. It's not going to build your business. It's not going to help you solve your clients' greatest challenges. All right. With that being said, it has been a pleasure having you on with me. Again, it's an honor and a privilege to be able to share this with you. Please implement it. Do it as you see fit. You can take bits and pieces or take the whole thing. It'll revolutionize how you have your selling conversations with qualified leads. On behalf of K2 Development Systems, I'm Dan Spacagna. It has been a pleasure being with you over this last 20 to 30 minutes. If you have any questions, I am a resource. Please feel free to reach out. Until next time, be great on purpose.